We've learned a lot and we've come a long way, but there's still some rough times ahead before we can escape Altea. Let's get into it. Alright, no new characters yet, but we got a key and some advice from Malladus. A door key is a single-use item that opens one door, any door, doesn't matter what door it is. But on this map, we don't really have much of a choice. It's gotta be this door, because this is the only way forward. None of our units can cross water, so, like he said, we just gotta cut through this prison. Well, at least it's nice and abandoned. Absolutely nothing in there that could pose a threat to us. That's nice. Hope that doesn't change. Over here we've got some enemies. Yeah, it's this guy. So if an item's glowing green in an enemy's inventory, it means they'll drop it when they die. I don't know why I can't just take the axes off of all these enemies when they die, but hey. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. So let's just move up. There's only 3 of them, so we can pretty much overpower them fairly easily. No real danger. Does 5 damage. 6. And yeah, I don't think this guy does 7. Yeah, nah, he's fine. Perfect, get a kill for Marth. Jaden can visit this house. Which basically tells us that we gotta keep moving or we're screwed. It's pretty ominous. Wonder what they have planned. For the first time we get a boss for this chapter who isn't a generic enemy, but he's about as close to a generic enemy as you can get. I wish they put a gag over him, over just his picture in this cutscene, just to show that, because when he's moving his lips, it's kind of... So someone's gonna need to explain this to me. Their whole point here is they're outnumbered, they know that they can't beat us with just the few soldiers they have here, so they need to either wait for the main force to arrive, which they don't want to do because then they'd steal all their glory, or set a trap. And their trap is taking a prisoner, putting him in one of their uniforms, leaving him unarmed, and putting him in the prison, alone, with nobody else, and then locking the back door. How is that a trap? Obviously they're trying to trick me into killing him, but I don't see what that does to them or how it makes me vulnerable in any way. I don't know, but this is basically what Malladus was talking about. For the first time we're seeing a character that doesn't join us as a blue unit. Instead, Gordon here spawns as a red unit, an enemy. We can't attack him, as you can attack any other enemy, but in this is a tutorial to recruiting enemy units to your side. And here it's about as clear-cut as it can possibly be. He is on our side, he's one of our soldiers, he's just been bound up, gagged so he can't talk to us, and put in a uniform that makes him look like an enemy. So it's a pretty clear-cut case, he doesn't have a weapon, he can't even attack us, so it's very easy to walk up to him and recruit him. Most characters are recruited by going up to them and talking to them with Marth, though in some cases that's different. Marth can't recruit everybody. Abel, Kane, Frey. I'll have Frey visit the house first. Screw that, I'm resetting if anybody dies. But no, these games were probably designed for you to play with permanent death. It's just not the style I want to do for this playthrough. Feed more kills to Marth, and we'll grab this bow. So the character that kills them is the one who gets the item. And if Marth's inventory was full, he would have to pick something in his inventory to throw away. But only for this chapter. After this chapter, we'll get something that lets us manage and store our items more easily. Oh, wow, I didn't even know that. It can't be taken out of Marth's inventory. Huh. I assume that's just to prevent you from dropping it and not being able to clear the chapter, but it's still kind of interesting. Well, guess we gotta do this the hard way. Like I said, it has to be Marth that talks to him. All the other characters will just have the option to attack him. So let's move up with everybody. Ignore this enemy dressed in a uniform. And we'll talk to him. Huh. That's exactly what the guy thought he was gonna say. Oh, there's that iconic music. People who played Smash Brothers know this one. It's the recruitment theme for this game, and it's poppin'. As it so happens, we do have a bow he can use. Here you go, bud. So here's Gordon, our first archer. Like I said with the enemy archers, they can attack from 2 spaces away, but they can't retaliate if something attacks them up close, so it's kind of a balancing act between putting them in the right position. Archers in this game are very, very bad. First of all, they all have terrible stats, bases and growths. Gordon is a complete weakling in every area that matters. His strength is terrible, his speed is terrible, his defense is garbage, although he does start with a pretty decent base of 6. His only good stats, if you even want to call a 40% growth good, are skill and luck, and, you know, he even has a below average HP growth. So I have a soft spot for Gaggles, but he's just not very good at all. Oh, and the other thing, 5 movement. Marth, as another foot-mounted unit, has 7. These guys have 9. Jagan has 10. 5 is the lowest movement type in the game, excepting a couple of very specific units. I don't know why they made the decision to do this. Archers already get the short end of the stick in every other way. Why make them harder to move around on the battlefield and put into a good position because they have such slow movement? It's terrible. But yeah, Gordon, not that good. So anyway, let's move up, but what are we gonna do about this door? We don't have another door key. Whatever shall we do to proceed? Oh, that was kind of stupid of me. Archer's best units. I was wrong. Oh. So yeah, this happens if you don't kill Gordon. A ton of super buff knights appear. 17 defense, really high HP, decently high stats across the board, well, except speed and stuff, and they all have silver lances. None of us can hold out against them, not even Jagan, and we can't run away from them either because the northern door is still shut. Even if by some absolute miracle we manage to kill all of these guys, we can't proceed because the door won't open, and clearly you're not supposed to fight these. They're way too strong for us. And as much as Marth hates it, the decoy strategy that Mallet has suggested is the only way to survive this. And like he implied in that conversation, whoever you choose to be the decoy is gone for the rest of the game, never coming back. And as much as I hate to do it, going with the canonical choice, it's Frey who stays behind. It's referenced in the next game. So I hate to do this, but the world's about to lose a great goatee. See you, dude. Oh, Geol. That's the opposite of what's true. Go away, Windows Defender. So now the door opens. You could have avoided that, make the knights not even show up at all by sticking Gordon like a pig and killing him, not even talking to him or recruiting him. But like I said, in the next game, there's dialogue that basically flat out says that Frey was the one who stayed behind. So it's gotta be him. And if you played hard mode and thus started in chapter 1, because the prologue isn't in the hard mode, all these characters show up alive and Frey is not there. So pretty clearly he's the one who left. Poor guy. There's a lot of criticism of this. I mean, I understand why they did it for a story perspective, and I guess I get the fact that they're teaching you that you sometimes have to make sacrifices to let the rest of the team live, but I don't know, it still feels kind of cheap to me. It's not the last time this game does something like that either. Never as explicitly as this, though. They never force a death. That's the only forced death in the entire game. So, Poor Frey. Since I'm restarting when somebody oh, nice critical. Is that the first one we've seen? I can't remember. It's been a long time since I played this game and recorded this episode, about half a month now. I was on vacation for a week, and then when I got back, you know how it is, you kind of get caught up in one thing and then another. Is this guy gonna go? No, he'll go for Abel. Yeah, I'll just keep Jaken out of the way of this guy. Don't want to bait him too much. Gotta enjoy these last few free soldier kills, because there's not gonna be any soldiers once we get out of the prologue. Over yonder. Introduction to villages. They're like houses, except they give you stuff instead of just advice. And sometimes even new characters. But unlike houses, only Marth can visit them. Let's see how Gordon does. Poorly, as he does. Yeah, with the fort, Abel takes no damage from these soldiers. We're really outgrowing them, huh? For the record, I much rather would have given up Gordon or Kane, but want to be canonical, to be honest. This playthrough. Good dodge. Wow, and a crit. Alright, Kane heard me say that, now he's mad. He's gonna prove that he's better than his brother. Actually, I don't think they are brothers. I think they're just supposed to be partners. Well, not with that level up, you're not. In some of the games, I think the Cavalier duo are implied to be brothers, but maybe I'm just thinking too biblically, who knows? Blech. So our first boss, who isn't a generic enemy, he's Captain the Cavalier, or maybe he's just supposed to be a captain and doesn't have a real name. He's got a javelin, and he's a little bit stronger. He's the first enemy Cavalier we fought, but he still can't stand up to all our guys attacking him. I'm gonna hold off on him though, because I want to show off something. Just move everybody up, get them all nice and prepared for what's about to come. Hanging out together, the boys, minus Frey, rip. And here's something new too. Pegasus Knights. This is our introduction to reinforcements. In certain maps, enemies will appear from specific locations, usually forts when you're outdoors and staircases when you're inside. If you place one of your units on top of the tile they come from, you can block them from appearing at all, but since these forts are on island, there's nothing we could do about this. The units themselves are Pegasus Knights. They have high movement and mounts that fly, which lets them cover terrain very quickly. You can see they have 8 movement, which is almost as much as a Cavalier, but they're completely unhindered by terrain. They can go over water, they can go over forests, nothing slows them down except walls. You can't fly through walls. On the downside though, they don't gain any defense or avoidance bonuses from terrain, so even though the terrain doesn't hinder them by moving over it like these forts, they're not actually getting the defense, dodging, and all that. They do get the healing, that's the only thing they get. Their other weakness is about to be shown in a couple turns as they approach me. For now, let's just have Marth move to the village and get what we get from it. Move Gordon over. He's about to get his one day in the limelight. Pegasus Knights can be pretty good, but these early ones struggle with dealing a lot of damage. Their strength is pretty bad, but they have decently high speed. They pretty much match the majority of our party. But like I said, the other weakness Pegasus Knights have is that they are vulnerable to a certain weapon type, specifically bows. Flying units take what's called effective damage from all bows. When a weapon is effective against a certain type of unit, its might is tripled when the damage calculation is performed. So the 5 might of the iron bow is tripled to 15, plus Gordon's 5 strength to 20, and then minus the Pegasus Knight's 4 defense to 16 damage, enough for even a weakling like Gordon to kill it in one shot. Always remember that archers are a flyer's worst enemy, both when you're fighting against them or when you're using them yourself. Bows aren't the only effective weapon though. Remember the rapier that I said Marth had, that had a specific use? It does effective damage to horse-mounted units, so just like this cavalier, and it does effective damage to units in heavy armor like the knights. That's why I wanted to conserve it against the enemies we've been fighting so far. It's a specialized weapon for a specialized purpose, and it completely obliterates this boss. Only lords can use rapiers, by the way, and since Martha's our only lord, only he can use it. We'll soften him up with Abel a little bit. This captain's so generic he doesn't even get a boss quote. That's too bad. And finish him off with Marth. See ya. Free Vulnerary. You get a lot of those in the prologue. Not so much in hard mode. You don't start with any. Don't die, Gordon. Nah, he's not gonna die. He doesn't even get doubled. These Pegasus Knights suck. So before I end the chapter by seizing this completely plain floor tile, there's one more thing I wanted to mention. If you end this chapter with 4 or fewer units, so if you use the decoy strategy and then kill off one more person, you recruit a secret unit. Her name is Norn, and she's another archer. She's sort of a parallel to Gordon, focusing more on speed, but like him, she's not that great either. A 25% strength growth really bites. I'm not going to get her because there's no way to do it without killing off another unit, but if I was going to, I would let Gordon die. He's much less valuable than Jagan or the Cavaliers, and there's really no need for 2 archers. Anyway, let's finish this up and watch the last cutscenes. A god. This is a god on Earth. Sorry, dude. If it's any consolation, we'll come back and kill that guy super hard after a while. By the way, if Jagan was killed here, this cutscene would have Drog deliver pretty much the same lines. That's a very minor detail, but I think it's kinda cool. For the most part, characters who are killed off are replaced by Malladus telling Marth things, because he's not a unit that's ever gonna be able to field it, so he'll never be able to die in the story. That's a pretty good cutscene, I think. Good cap to the entire prologue and everything Marth's been through. So yeah, that's the end of the prologue. Next time we come back, it'll be in Chapter 1. The real game has started. It feels like we've come so far already, hasn't it? Alright, I'll see you then.